over and above and on. What's the difference? Very simple difference. I am going to elaborate with 10 examples and you would be understood where you should have to apply above and where you should have to apply over, because there is very mild difference, but you can easily recognize the difference. How you can recognize the difference? I am going to elaborate with examples, different kind of examples. For example, if something is above something else, if something is directly above something else, if something is directly above something else, we call it over. We call it over. And in most of the cases, it is in touch with something else. It is in touch with something else. Rather, it is in touch with something else, or it is covering something else. Number one, when we refer over, it means when something is above something, directly above something else. It is not at the right level, it is not at the left side, it is directly above something else, like this. It is not this, it is not this, it is directly above something else. Number two, in most of the cases, it is in touch with something else. It is in touch with something else. Rather, it is covering something else. And it over also shows movement. Over also shows movement, and it is also used for number and time. For number and time. Movement for number and time. Number one thing, over, when something is directly above something else, like this, it is not at the right or it is not at the left side. In most of the cases, it is in touch with something else. Rather, it is covering something else, like clouds are covering, or clouds are over the city, because clouds are covering the city. And where we use above. Above means when something is above something else. It can be at the right side, it can be at the left side, and it shows no movement. It shows no movement. No movement is required here. No movement. Above, over shows movement, above shows no movement. Over is used for number and time. Above is used for temperature, for the measurement of temperature. Sorry, for example, we are going to do this. And on, very simple, it is touching something. For example, the book is on the table. The book is touching the surface of something. When something is touching the surface of something, where we use on. The major difference is between over and above. Above means when something is directly over something else, it rather, whether it is covering something or it is in touch with something else. For example, this dupatta is covering my shirt. I can say that the dupatta is over my shirt, because the dupatta is in touch with something. It is above, it is not above something, it is in contact with something, it is directly covering something else. So I can say that my dupatta is over my shirt. If the clouds are there on the city, you can say clouds are over the city, because clouds are covering the city. If something is covering something else, if something is in contact with or in touch with something else, we use over. For number, we use over. For example, my YouTube video got over 100 likes. I have been waiting at this place over 2 o'clock or over 2 o'clock. So, For temperature, we use the word above. And we use something, if something is above something else, it is not touching the surface, it is not touching, it is not covering. It can be at the right side, it can be at the left side, and there is no movement. There is no movement. For example, the mirror is above the sink. The mirror is above the sink. Here is the mirror, here is the sink. Here is the sink. It is not touching, it is not in contact, it is not covering. It is not covering, it is direct, it is above. It is above. There is no movement. You can say the mirror is above the sink. The mirror is above the sink. Now you have to tell me and we will understand here what we can use here. The fan is our head. The fan is not, there is no movement. Fan is not moving from here to there. There is no movement. Fan is directly above our head. It is not touching our head. It is not touching our head. It is not covering our head. It is above our head. So we should use above. When something is above something else, it is not touching, it is not covering, it is not moving, we should use the word above. For temperature, we should use the word above. They put blanket. Now what should we use? If the blanket is covering her, we should use over. They put the blanket over her. But if the blanket is not touching, it is at some height, it is on some height, we should use the word above. The position shows. If the blanket is covering, if the blanket is touching her, then we should use over. If the blanket is not touching, it is at some height, so we should use above. They put blanket above her. So most of the cases blanket touches. I put the blanket over the bed. I put the blanket over my bed. It means blanket is touching the surface. Blanket is directly over, is above on the bed. It is in contact, it is covering the bed. The pillow cover is over the pillow, because the pillow cover is covering, it is directly above the pillow. So have you understood? There is directly above the bed. Next, the city is 500 meets sea level. The city is 500. Now this is sea, this is the village, There is no direct contact. It might be on the mountain, So there is no direct contact. The village is not covering the sea level. The village is not covering the sea. It is not in touch with it does not mean that this village is directly in touching with the sea level. So you should say the village or the city is above the sea level. Pour some cream cake and serve it as cold. Cream would be touching the surface of cake and is directly above the cake. So you should use over the cake, because cream would cover the cake. So you should use put some cream or pour some cream over the cake. Are you understanding the concept? If something is directly above something else, if it is touching something or if it is covering something else, you should use the word over. If there is movement, you should use the word over. If there is an indication of time and number, you should use the word over. If there is no movement, above. If there is that indication of temperature, use above. If there is no movement, and it can be at the right and the left position, it shows no movement, use the preposition above. Next, it was 6 degrees temperature, 6 degrees shows temperature, and with temperature we always use above. With temperature we always use above. With temperature we always use above. I have been waiting over an hour. With time and number we use over. With time and number we use over. With temperature we use above. I got over number 51, number shows, hour, time shows. With time and number we use over. The picture is hung on the window. Hung. This is the window and here is the picture. It can be here, it can be here. There is no direct contact. Picture is not touching the window. Picture is not covering the window. So you should use above. The picture, very important example, the picture is hung above the window. Above the window, because picture is not moving. It doesn't show any movement. The clouds are covering the city. Clouds are directly over the city. So you should use the preposition over. You should be over. With age. With age you should use, or you should be above 10 o'clock. 10. You should be above 10. With age you can use above. So if the helicopter is coming across, the helicopter was flying over America. The helicopter was flying over. It means it shows movement. If helicopter was hovering means it is on the city, but it doesn't show movement. If it is hovering, then we should use the word above. But if it is flying from one place to another, it shows movement, then we have to use over. So how would you find this video? You can take a screenshot, because recently I have received a comment that ma'am, you should be away from the picture so that we can take a screenshot. And it is very highly recommendable, and I perceive this comment the very positive comment, because people are getting information from my videos, and it is an honorable moment for me that they are recognizing me as a teacher. So you can take a screenshot of this. Now we would do an overview. Over means if something is directly above something else, but if it is in touch with something else. If you are wearing a shirt, and now you are also wearing a coat over the shirt, because coat would be touching the surface of shirt and above the shirt. So you should say, I am wearing coat over the shirt. Over the shirt, because coat is covering your shirt. If something is covering something else, if something is directly above something else, you should use over. But if something is just above, it is not directly above, it can be at the right and the left position, and it shows no movement, like picture, like the hovering helicopter. Hovering helicopter, it means it is hovering. It is still there. It is not showing any movement from the left to right or right to left. No movement, then above. Above is also used with temperature. Over is used with number and time, and with age you can also use above. So this is very simple, very complicated aspect of preposition. If you like the video, kindly share and subscribe this channel and hit that bell icon, because it motivates me to make much more informative videos for you guys. Till the next video, stay happy, stay blessed. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.